Hi everybody, my name is Andy. Welcome back to my channel. I usually do topics of sex education on this channel more or less every single week. Stick around, sounds good, doesn't it? Today I'm going to be talking about sex mistakes that you are probably already making. Now, nobody said sex was easy. It doesn't really come with a manual, although there are manuals. It doesn't come with a manual. There's no one way of having sex. There's no right or wrong way of having sex. But you're probably making a bunch of mistakes, probably because you've either learnt stuff from previous relationships or you've seen things in porn, TV, whatever, and you think that's the way to do it, or you're just doing stuff because it's comfortable. All these things are not necessarily bad, but something you can improve on. And I've put together a list of 14 things, you can't go wrong, can you? 14 mistakes that you are already making when it comes to sex. So let's get started, shall we? Number one, you're in a rut. If you have the same type of sex every single Tuesday night, right? This is something which a lot of couples get into when you've been in a relationship for over a year, a couple of years maybe, and you just do the same things. You know, your date night is on a Tuesday night, you always do it on that night, you have sex afterwards, it's just in the missionary position, it lasts approximately 5 or 6 minutes, and that's it. It's not a great sex life, surely. It might feel comfortable and fine, nothing wrong with that, but it's a mistake. You can make your life a bit more interesting than that, I would think. You get into that groove. I understand, it's comfortable, but it also means that your relationship is staying in a rut as well. It's not necessarily a problem, but it's something that you might want to take into account. Making your sex life a bit more interesting, a bit less regular, means that you will probably have better relationships. And this leads me nicely on to mistake number 2, which is not talking with your partner. A lot of the times when you do the same thing all the time, it's because you're not asking your partner, or they're not telling you what they want to do, what you'd like, how to change it up, all sorts of things you could ask them. You know, I say this all the time on this channel, communication is the most important thing when it comes to relationships and sex and all the rest of it. But it's so important that you talk to your partner, not just during sex, all that is very important, but before sex, just when you're having dinner, whatever. Just ask them what they want out of the relationship, out of sex, out of whatever. Mistake number 3 is not giving yourself enough time, whether that be for sex itself. You know, you've got a limited period. Oh, we're going to get this over and done within 10 minutes, we're going out, or whatever. You know, don't do that to yourself. You know, don't do that to yourself on a regular basis, fitting it in here and there and everywhere. Give yourself time for everything around sex. If you're rushed, it means you're not going to enjoy it as much. Take your time. Mistake number 4 is you're too embarrassed. Number 1, if you've been in a relationship for any length of time, this person likes you, okay? You've had sex before, they've seen you naked, you've seen them naked, and they still want to be in a relationship with you, so not a problem, I would say. But also don't be embarrassed to talk to your partner, as I was saying before. Don't be embarrassed about what you like. If they don't like it and you do, that's fine, you don't have to do it. If you like it and then they think, oh, actually I do like that, brilliant, bring it in. Although, mistake number 5 is being too adventurous. So like I said, if one of the parties in a relationship doesn't like what's going on, then it's likely that it's not going to work. And if you try and be too adventurous, if you try and push it too far, it can lead to a breakup or a setback or not enjoying that session of sex or whatever, It's not necessarily a good idea just to be wild and adventurous if not everybody in this situation wants to be wild and adventurous. Yes, change it up. Yes, talk to each other, but also keep it within the boundaries that you want. And, if next time that your partner wants to extend those boundaries and so do you, fantastic. It doesn't have to stay the same from one encounter to the next, does it? It can change, it will evolve. That's the great thing about relationships. Mistake number 6, keeping it on a bed. This is where you're having sex, always in the missionary position on a bed. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Very enjoyable, but only that? Never have it anywhere else? Showers, perhaps? Showers are great, right? Shower sex is fantastic. Just something I've picked up along the way. If you have got the privacy, then, you know, sofas, desks, kitchen counters. None of these I've done, but doesn't mean I don't want to. Point is, all of these places are, you know, places where you could potentially have sex up against the wall. All of those places, it's fine. Do it on top of the washing machine if you really want to, but you don't have to keep it in the bed. That's my point. Number 7 is not masturbating. I don't mean just on your own. I mean with your partner. Masturbation is something which isn't talked about a lot, and mutual masturbation even less. For those of you new to this, mutual masturbation would be where you are both masturbating at the same time. You are doing it to yourself, but you're doing it in the presence of somebody else. It can be incredibly sexy, or not quite mutual masturbation, but where you are touching each other. You know, you're masturbating each other. Happens a lot more, obviously, usually counted as a sex act. But either of those things are something which you should absolutely consider. When you masturbate on your own, it means you can learn more about yourself, your body. You know what you like, what you don't like. So going back to communication and being adventurous and keeping it where you want to keep it. I mean, who of us hasn't masturbated somewhere other than their bed? Like in the shower. If you masturbate, you've probably done it somewhere other than your bed. And if you like it there, maybe you like sex there as well. That's my point. Mistake number 8 is not being generous to your partner. Maybe you are horny one evening, but you're not really into stimulation and all the rest of it. Rather than not bothering, what you could do is give your horniness to your partner, right? You're into it, but you don't want to be stimulated yourself. Stimulate them. Be generous to your partner. Show them everything that you want to show them. And that includes all the things I've already talked about, whether that be masturbation or anything else like that. Putting on a show for them. All sorts of things which you could do where you are giving to your partner rather than taking. And of course, another time, you can be the one that is taking and they are giving. Mistake number 9 is doing a date night to get sex. Date nights are great, okay? They are a great way of making sure that your relationship is fresh and new and you keep on learning about your partner. And, you know, if you are into it at the end of the night, absolutely go and have sex, right? But are you having date nights to have sex? Are you having sex at other times? Are you just spontaneously having sex or not? Just having date nights once a week, once a month, however often you would do them, and that's the time that you have sex, is kind of packaged up into, oh, that's the only time you can have sex. Well, you know, there's no point. Well, let's wait until date night to have sex rather than doing it anytime you like. It's a mistake, and it's a mistake a lot of couples tend to fall into. This is the time for romance rather than having romantic thoughts at any time. And actually this falls quite well into mistake number 10, which is not enough foreplay. So yeah, talk about date nights just now, but foreplay is something which should be all the time. Okay, not all the time, but at any time. It doesn't have to be, you know, touching or all the rest of it, like actual manual stimulation foreplay. Foreplay is the entire evening. So you go and watch a rom-com or whatever you want to do on the telly or at the theatre or wherever, you know, once we're out of lockdown. All that time while you're being romantic and all the rest of it, that is foreplay. If you're going to, you don't have to have sex at the end of the evening, but if you're going to have sex at the end of the evening, the whole night becomes this build-up. That's what foreplay is. It isn't just the kissing and cuddling directly before you have sex. So although you shouldn't have date nights in order to have sex, having date nights and then having sex, lovely. First class. Recommended. Problem number 11, which is my problem because I've forgot that I didn't have more than 10 fingers. But problem number 11 is not using lube because you think it's for people that need to have lube, yeah? Firstly, if you're somebody who has some sort of sexual dysfunction, so can't get wet, doesn't produce pre-cum, all those things which you might have a disorder with, then lube is fantastic for you and you should absolutely use it, and don't be embarrassed about using it or needing to use it. But if you don't necessarily technically need to use it, that doesn't mean you shouldn't. Lube is fantastic because obviously it reduces friction, maybe even makes you last longer, guys. People with penises, you know what I mean. And frankly, it just makes it more enjoyable. You can get flavored lubes, you can get all sorts of things. Try them out. They can spice up your sex life no end. Same goes for toys, same goes for anything else. Bring things like that into your relationship because you know what, if they don't work, they don't work. But especially things like lube, well, it will work. I'm just saying it will work, all right? It works. Mistake number 12 is pretending to have orgasms, you know, faking your orgasms. Mistake number 12 is pretending you're into it or faking your orgasms. You have to be honest with your partner. If you're not into it, you've got to say so. You've got to say, well, no, this isn't working, all the rest of it. And then maybe either stop, come back, do it again tomorrow, later, whenever, or change it up so that you are doing something that you do like and that you both like. But pretending that you are into it, but faking your orgasms, whatever, gives the wrong reinforcement to your partner. It makes them think that what they're doing is enjoyable for you, and therefore they will keep on doing it, and they'll be very confused when it doesn't work out in the end, right? Most of the point is that everybody in the situation enjoys what's going on, right? So giving feedback to your partner, which is giving them the wrong cues, thinking they're doing something right when actually they're not, that isn't helpful. You have to be honest and tell your partner exactly what you feel. And that leads on to number 13, mistake number 13 quite nicely. Mistake number 13 is expecting your partner to be into it when you are. And it doesn't matter what side of relationship you are, whether you are in a straight relationship and you're a woman who really wants it, but the guy doesn't. I mean, that happens more often than you might think. We in society think that men are up for it all the time and women are hardly ever want it at all. But more often than you might think, it's the other way around. There's all sorts of reasons why you may be into it, but your partner isn't. Often it's nothing to do with you, it's just that they don't want to do it that evening, right? But don't assume this because you're into it that your partner is. That's the worst thing you can do. Assume. You've got to talk to your partner and ascertain if they really are into it tonight. And if they're not, that's fine, right? Do it another time. But mistake number 14 is not doing it enough. Obviously you shouldn't have sex more than you both want to. But falling back to mistake number 1, where you get into a rut and you only do it on special occasions or whatever, don't be afraid to have it as often as you want. If you're both into it, have it every single hour of every day if you want to, other than it might get in the way of your work and social life. But apart from that, so long as it doesn't get in the way of all of that, then have it as often as you like. There's no, you know, it doesn't make you a slut, a whore, if you're, you know, that way inclined. It doesn't make you a legend either if you have it all the time. Neither of those things are the case. It doesn't matter if you never have it or always have it, but don't think you have it enough, right? If you want more, and so does your partner, have more. Have you got some mistakes which you've made in the past or some which you can think of? Why not leave them as a comment down below. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up. You can do that down below as well. And I make videos every single week on sex education subjects. So subscribe and click the little bell so you're notified of when I next upload. And I will therefore see you next time. Bye-bye.